systems go. Clear for liftoff.
Here we go. Let's do it. Final week of the regular season. We got rivalry week for college football. What's going on, everybody? My name is Bill. Put a dollar in front of it. You'll find me on Discord and Twitter. And we are ready for week 14 of College Football DFS, a full weekend. Depending on when you're watching this, maybe there's college football on your TV right now. Maybe you're awaiting Friday's slate. Maybe you're just finishing up Friday and preparing for Saturday. But either way, I'm glad you're here. While you're here, please hit that like button. It does help us a lot, continuing to provide this free content on YouTube. We love doing it, and getting those likes up really help us out quite a bit. I do want to point out, we have changed our deal for the football package for the rest of the season. You see it on your screen. You can join and get the rest of the season for, okay, kids go crazy, $167. $167, that gets you Ship It Games eligibility. It gets you SaberSim. It gets you all of our resources, slate plans for both NFL and college football. And it goes through the Super Bowl. We got national championship, CFP. So still a lot of football left. Just a great deal if you're wanting the football package here at Ship It Nation. And why would you want to come to Ship It Nation? Well, let's tell you, just another week of winners, another solid week for Ship It. Our guys Title and Tambo both getting some big shippers this week, and then P. Smith with a 5-digit shipper. Hamhock, of course, continuing to crush it on our college football team, and just plenty of flags flying at the top of the leaderboards. But let's not waste any more time. Not that was a waste of time. Don't spin my words. I just want to get to this week's slate of college football. I got breaking down the fourth wall. This is being recorded on Thanksgiving evening. I'm very, very full. Did change into my stretchy pants. So I need a stretchy pants endorsement because I will promote stretchy pants till the end of time. Sometimes when you are a man, you wear stretchy pants in your room. Great movie, 10 out of 10 movie. Kudos to you if you know the reference. Yeah, let's get to some football though. Enough movie talk. That's too much movie talk for me. I don't even watch very many movies. I just love that one. Houston at Baylor, high total, low defense game to kick things off. And we have Houston on the road as a 3-point dog. Connor Weigman hasn't really done much through the air consistently this year, but that's not really why we would play him in this spot. Even at 8,800, he's got enough rushing upside that he can get to this Baylor defense. I mean, who can't run on this Baylor defense? Like I said, 8,800, a price to pay, but the upside is certainly there. And, you know, that rushing upside is the same reason you play Dean Connors. Look at Arizona last week. We knew we wanted the runners. It was a little dicey with 3 backs. All of a sudden, Quincy Craig gets ruled out, and then we have 2, and both of them get there. So Dean Connors in a great spot here. Even DJ Butler, I'm not racing to play him, but at 4,100, he can get there on 10 carries. It's just the matchup that we love here. And the pass catchers, I mean, just because the running matchup is really good doesn't mean the passing matchup isn't. So I think you can still look at Amari Thomas and Tanner Koziel because they just hog most of the target share. Even in tougher matchups, you can consider those guys just because of the way the usage funnels. So I do love the Houston side this week, if you can afford it. On the Baylor side, Houston's defense is better than Baylor's, but there's a reason the Bears are still projected to win. They're projected for almost 31 points. Sawyer Robertson did underperform against Arizona, but Arizona shut down a lot of passing games this year. So it's hard to, use that as the example of what to do with Sawyer Robertson. Offenses have been able to throw on Houston some. So at 8,100, Robertson's not a bad play. We are getting some usage funneling in this backfield, though, because last week we saw 3 running back split between Turner, Knighton, and Washington, but now Michael Turner's been ruled out. So that gets it to Caden Knighton, Bryson Washington, both in the 5Ks, the low 5Ks. It's just, I do wish we would just get some clarity. Bryson Washington continues to get run out there. It just has not performed this year. Could it be the bust out game? I mean, we used to play him at 9K. I mean, he's talented enough. It's just a matter of, are we going to get that Bryson Washington, or are we going to get fumbling 2 yards a carry on 10 carries Bryson Washington? But I don't hate taking a shot on one of these guys. And then the wide receiver room, we're going to have to wait and see because Michael Trigg is getting priced down, where I think you'd probably consider him in cash, but he's also on the injury report as questionable. So we're going to have to see on Trigg, but Cameron, fairly priced, definitely still has upside at 6,800. If Trigg does go down, it'll start to open things up for the rest of these pass catchers. Not even just the next tight end up, but with all the targets that Trigg gets, Hawkins, Wilson, Prentice, all of these guys could see an increase in usage if Trigg sits. But that's right off the bat, a game that we want to target, a nearly 60-point team total or game total. You love to see it for DFS. The next game, not so much. I mean, Texas Tech might outscore Baylor and Houston by themselves. This is shaping up to be a huge blowout, obviously, a 23.5-point spread. Baron Morton, 7,700, fair. Didn't play the whole game last time out. And if Tech handles this game the way they should, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play the entire game again. He is on the report listed as probable, but I think it's let's by 28 points. Then take a rest. We'll be ready for the Big 12 championship game. Jacoby Williams limped off the field last game too. It does sound like he's going to be good to go, but similar to Morton, why would you play him? If he's even slightly hurt, if Tech has this game under control, save him, rest him, make sure he's fresh for the Big 12 championship game and college football playoff. If Williams does sit, I mean, Cam Dickey, even at 8,100, just in an absolutely stellar spot. I think at 8,100, he could get there in the first half against this West Virginia defense if Williams doesn't go. And then the wide receiver room, one guy who's on the injury report is Reggie Virgil. If he does sit, that opens up a ton for this pass catcher room. Douglas, Eakin, and Carter, obviously the first three names that you'll think of. And they would all get increased usage if Virgil sits. But Micah Hudson and Bryson Jones could also see some increased time on the field if Virgil doesn't go. And the thing I like about them is that they're cheap. You can see Bryson on your screen is min price here. But those are also guys that might play the entire game if Virgil doesn't go. Like if they see the field in the first quarter, they might not be the ones who sit come fourth quarter. You know, Douglas would sit, Virgil would sit, Carter if they're up by a ton. But we might still see Bryson Jones and Micah Hudson out there. So those might be the guys that we get 4 quarters of. If we get some injury news, don't hate it. It might turns a 3K dart throw into a 3K. Not bad. On the West Virginia side, we don't need to talk a whole lot. Scotty Fox is cheap, but in this matchup, he may struggle to get 2x. I know he has rushing upside, but he also has sack downside. So it's a tough click for anybody on this West Virginia side. I mean, Diore Hubbard got hurt, so Sincere Bowers is like the last guy in this backfield. The guy who got the next highest amount of snaps and rushes in the backfield is a defensive player, so we don't even have an opportunity to play him on DraftKings. But we saw this last week or the week before against Texas Tech when they played UCF and Jaden Nixon was the only guy in the backfield. Yes, just because there was only one mouth to feed doesn't make it a good matchup for a running back. Texas Tech will still suffocate you. So play at your own risk. If you want to make it a volume play, go for it, but play at your own risk. Wide receiver room, same reason I don't love Fox. I don't really care for these pass catchers. Could one get there? Sure. But I just think you're taking a big risk if you play any of these guys. Miami at Pitt. Miami a touchdown favorite on the road. Both teams need to win to keep their ACC championship hopes alive. Now they need some other things to happen too, but win and you at least have a shot at the ACC championship and probably your only hope of making it to the CFP. Carson Beck strung together a few nice games. Pitt's defense has been okay against the pass, but they've given up multiple passing scores in 6 straight games. And it seems like Miami has their wide receiver core back intact for the most part. So at 6,400, I don't see why Beck can't get there. It's definitely some intriguing pricing making me lean toward Beck. I mean, his last few games are kind of pushing me that direction too. As far as running backs, I mean, these guys have split Fletcher, Pringle, Brown. I think Fletcher's cheap, but if it's going to be a 3-way split in this backfield, I don't know how much of these guys you're going to get. And I do think Pitt's run defense is a little bit better than their pass defense. But these pass catchers, Malachi Toney, I mean, he's the most trustworthy guy in this wide receiver room. I don't know how you can ignore what he's done this year. It seems like they're trying to feed him the ball any way they can. Keelan Marion has had a great run of late too, and he's still really cheap. I think he's cash viable, like at 3,400. It really makes a lot of things work in your lineup. The only thing is CJ Daniels. I mean, he's not on the report, but he wasn't on the report last game either, and he still only played 4 offensive snaps. And if he's healthy, he's got to go, right? So that could eat into Keelan Marion a little bit. But at the same time, he's performed so well at 3,400. Even if he has like 4 catches for 50 yards, that's not going to kill your lineup. So he still has that touchdown upside too. You're playing him for that upside with the floor that's not going to kill you. On the Pittsburgh side, Mason Heinchel burst onto the scene. Was a DFS darling there for a while. His price is down at 7,400 now, and I just don't know how much you want to play him in this matchup. A lower scoring total for Pitt, and Miami's a tough defense. Desmond Reed is questionable on the report, but we're kind of leaning that he doesn't go in this one. He's it seems like he's been banged up all year. He had that one spike game, and he's been in, but kind of in, not really in. And Jakarian Turner's been pretty good. So I don't know why you'd run Reed out. I mean, unless he's 100% healthy. I mean, it's like a spot where like, this is it. It's all or nothing. Maybe they give him a shot to go, but it's questionable on the report. So we got to wait and see. And then the pass catchers, it's these top 3 guys. Kenny Johnson, Raphael Williams are 1A, 1B, and then Katoris Hicks is the third guy. Justin Holmes kind of has some touchdown upside potential as well. But you're really only looking at those top 3 guys for Pitt. Maybe the best actual football game on the slate. We have Ohio State at Michigan. Obviously, Ohio State, undefeated. If they win, they're in. Michigan still has a chance to make it to the Big Ten championship if they win this game, though. And this is a big rivalry either way. Doesn't really matter what the stakes are. These two teams don't like each other. Ohio State, Michigan's been their Achilles heel. So, that's a big weight on Julian Saint's shoulders. Is he going to be the guy that comes in and slaying the giant is the wrong way to put it, but I think overcoming the Achilles heel is the best way to put it. Michigan's defense is tough, but I mean, we saw Dylan Raiola throw the ball well on him. I certainly think that Julian Saint could, and AK seems like a fair price. What it's really going to come down to is when we get to these pass catchers, that could determine what we want to do with this Ohio State team. But we'll talk about the running backs first. Last week, Bo Jackson scored twice. CJ Donaldson scored. Even James People scored. Everybody got to score except Isaiah West, I guess. That was against Rutgers, so don't put too much weight into it. I still think Bo Jackson is a guy. He got the start. He got a majority of the work early. Could Donaldson come in and snipe a touchdown from him? Certainly possible. Just don't know if I love the matchup against Michigan. If anybody can do it, though, it's Ohio State. Wide receivers, it does sound like Jeremiah Smith is going to give it a go. He should be okay. Carnell Tate, maybe more of a true question mark. But luckily, this is an early game on Saturday because the Big Ten does not release reports until the morning of a couple hours before kickoff. So keep an eye on that. They're both expensive, too. I think that you play them in the scenario if you think Ohio State's just going to go blow the doors off Michigan, finally overcome this mountain, whatever you want, whatever metaphor you want to use. But both, like if you think it's an onslaught, both of those guys are in your lineup. That's definitely a GPP stack if you can afford it. Regardless, Max Clare had a breakout game last week. So if those other two can't go, certainly Clare is on your radar. Innis is on your radar. If they can go and you think Ohio State stomps Michigan this year, those wide receivers are going to be on your radar. Bryce Underwood's super cheap. I do think it helps that this game's at home, but I still don't know that it's enough to get there for DFS purposes. I think he could win the game just fine. But I don't know that it equals 20 DFS points, which is what you'd want probably in this spot to take down a GPP, 15 for cash, 20 for tournaments. But I don't know about Underwood here. Jordan Marshall, though, he is going to get fed like the hungry fat kid at a buffet. And I've been that kid, and I know how much that kid gets fed. So it's a lot, in case you don't understand. It's a lot. He's going to get fed a lot. Sounds like he's healthy, going to give it a go. Even at 7,100, I think he has some upside. If Michigan wins this game, would not be surprised to see like a 25 carries for 150 and 2 for Jordan Marshall. 17-point team total. So again, I'm not sprinting to play him or anything. But if Michigan does take care of business and put up points, I wouldn't be surprised if Marshall's the guy. I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew Marsh is the guy too. He's just been on a stellar run lately. He's definitely underpriced for what he's done, his production. Maybe not underpriced for this matchup. He's definitely not the worst value on the slate. If Samaj Morgan is back, I think it probably plays a factor a little bit. And then I do think this would be just physically a great matchup for Donovan McCulley and Marlon Klein because they're just huge and athletic. They just haven't shown me any consistency to the point that I would want to play them even in 3Ks. Well, McCulley's 5K. Just that seems asinine. All right. Missouri at Arkansas. Potential shootout SEC game. Missouri, when you play Arkansas, you know what to do. Just play everybody, I think is what it comes down to. Bro Pribula, underpriced. Very underpriced for this matchup. He was underwhelming the last time out, but Oklahoma's a different team, and it was his first game back. I don't think he put a ton of stock into it. I love him at 6,100. I'm a party, 7,500 too cheap in this matchup for the usage he gets. Even Jamal Roberts, like the matchup, it's a matchup play. It's sort of like we talked about with Houston earlier on the slate. And then the wide receivers, so the wide receivers are cheap. And then, no, it's just probably just Coleman. I'm thinking about these other guys. Like Mark Reese Johnson has kind of disappeared. Joshua Manning, Oleg Body still on the field, but Kevin Coleman's probably the guy just for his usage. I was overthinking it. Don't overthink it too much. Pribula, Hardy, the best matchups in this game. Don't get your wires too crossed. The other reason my wires are crossed a little bit is because I'm trying to figure out this Arkansas side. Taylor Green, KJ Jackson, who's it going to be? It sounds like we're not going to find out until maybe kickoff. At least I haven't seen anything yet. Depending on when you're watching this, we might already know. But both of them are cheap. I don't mind. Taylor Green's definitely underpriced at 6,900 if he's the one to go. The one thing that we have heard is that whichever quarterback goes is going to be the guy. They're not going to go back and forth like one plays a drive and then the other plays a drive. We're at least going to get that. So if we do find out early enough, both of these guys are good value plays. Mike Washington been getting a ton of work in the backfield, and he should continue to get a ton of work because Braylon Russell's already been ruled out. 6,200 is just too cheap for him. And then these pass catchers, it has flattened out a little bit. Like Omega Blake's targets are down, and it's kind of taken a hit on his production. And then Raylan Sharp, kind of the opposite. His role is seemingly increasing, and he's still $1,900 cheaper. So Sharp isn't bad. Rohan Jones just seems to have a spike game whenever he wants to. Jaden Platt is getting more looks late too. After Blake, I think all of these guys are okay value plays, especially with a team total in the mid to high 20s. And honestly, a sneaky game to stack. These SEC games, we've seen them shoot out so many times. Speaking of SEC games, one that I don't expect to shoot out, LSU at Oklahoma. One team's playing for playoff status, so the other one fired its coach and barely beat Western Kentucky. On the LSU side, it's doubtful that we'll see Garrett Nussmeier, so it'll be Martin Van Buren again, the 8th president. Could LSU pull off an upset? Maybe. I don't know. Oklahoma hasn't really given it up to anybody except Ole Miss. So it doesn't give me any reason to play these LSU guys, especially with a 12.5-point team total. Aaron Anderson is out, so maybe you want to take a chance on one of these pass catchers, Brown, Green, or Thomas. If somebody gets there, it's probably going to be one of these pass catchers. I do like Thomas just because he's cheaper, but that's really about it for the LSU side. On the Oklahoma side, they're favored to win by double digits, but still only a 23-point team total. Look at the next game. We can already see it on our screen. Projected to be 31 or 34-31. John Mateer's priced exactly where he should be. I'm not really sure how high his ceiling is on this one. It does seem like this is one that Oklahoma could sleepwalk through. It's like, hey, as long as we get the win, we're not going to drop in the CFP standings. We're going to get our spot in the playoff. We just have to win this game. They could get up by 2 touchdowns and just run the ball, which, that'd be good for Xavier Robinson at just 5,100, especially if Whit Weeks is still out. Don't mind Robinson. And then the pass catchers, Satania continues to have a high ceiling in any matchup. 6,200 is a fair price on him. Deion Burks does seem very underpriced. A couple of down games, but his target share is definitely still there. He still had something like 8 or 9 targets in the last game. He just only had 2 catches. So 3,900 is a little bit intriguing. But after that, it's really dart throws for me. Vanderbilt at Tennessee, a much, much better game to target. Both teams still ranked. And if they want a shot at the playoff, it's just simply put, they have to win this game. An in-state rivalry, Vandy and Tennessee, Nashville and Knoxville, the Battle of the Vills. Diego Pavia, honestly, he's underpriced. What do you want me to say? 9,600 is underpriced. He should probably be 11K. 50-point upside, 55-point upside. Maybe he'll go out and score 60. Teams score points against Tennessee. It's what they do, for the most part. Florida even scored 11 points on them, which is a lot for the Gators. People can score on Tennessee. Regardless of the matchup, though, I don't know how much we're looking at these running backs. Cedric Alexander, if he's going to continue to run in the mid-20s for routes, Pavia throws to him, there is some upside. It's tough to play, especially when you got 3 pass catchers like Stowers, Richardson, and Sherrill. I know Stowers let a lot of people down last week. Richardson and Sherrill both have 5x potential at these prices. Richardson went more than 8x this price last week at the true ceiling game, like through the ceiling, like from the first floor to the 10th floor through the ceiling. Just a matter of picking which one it's going to be. Like 1 week it's Stowers and Richardson, the next it's Richardson, Sherrill, the next it's Stowers, Sherrill. Like somebody's probably going to go with Pavia if he gets there. So I don't mind to stack on this side. And there's plenty of runbacks on this other side too. I do like this matchup for Joey Aguilar, especially 7,900. Vandy's pass defense hasn't been that stellar, and they're giving up 2 touchdowns a game through the air. And Aguilar, look at his last 2 games, wasn't needed against New Mexico, wasn't needed against Florida. So you can't really take those games into account. If Tennessee's going to chuck that pigskin, I think Aguilar has 30-point upside here, which is great at 7,900. Without Peyton Lewis, Deshaun Bishop ran the ball 24 times. So that's something we're going to be watching. Peyton Lewis is currently questionable. So we'll get that report hopefully before game time, because this is a late game. So maybe we can get it on the Friday night report before we get to Saturday, but we'll see. But Bishop's a great play at 6-7. And then Star Thomas, super effective when he touches the ball. So at 5K, don't mind taking a shot on him too, especially if you're overstacking this game. You need a cheaper piece. 5K is pretty good for Star. And then the pass catchers, they only threw the ball 22 times against Florida, but the one thing I do like is that Chris Brazzell got 8 of those 22 targets. I think you can certainly look at Brazzell here. Braylon Staley had a down game, but I chalk that up to a mirage with it being against Florida. I think he only had 1 catch on 1 target. And then Miles Kitzelman was out, and Ethan Davis stepped up, took advantage of that opportunity, and he's only 3,800, and Kitzelman's out again. So we could maybe take a shot on Davis. I don't like 3,800 is a little like if he was in the low 3Ks, I think I'd be more apt to take a shot on him, but definitely going to have field time, going to have opportunity. And in a game environment like this, you just want guys that are going to be on the field. So that like Brazzell, Staley, Matthews, Davis, all in play for this matchup. Great game to stack. Cheap enough wide receivers and honestly cheap enough running backs that, Pavia is not too expensive to make it work. Cincinnati at TCU, another projected high-scoring game, but, Big 12, we've been more used to that for a while. Both teams out of the hunt. Both teams with 7 wins in terms of bowl status. I do think they'll both play hard. I don't really have a reason. I just think they will. Brennan Sorsby's a little bit spendy here, but it is a solid matchup. I love targeting TCU in the passing game. And he does spread it out enough that you can play a naked Sorsby. You don't need to stack him with a wide receiver just because he could throw the ball 30 times and 6 different guys could have 5 targets. That was quick math. That's pretty good, right? It's getting late at night. My brain's still working pretty well. The running back room. Evan Pryor was back last game, and it basically led to a complete split between him and Walker. A little bit spendy for a split, but you're going to see a more expensive one that I'm actually interested in later. So I can never say it's too expensive. If you want to pick one, go for it. Don't mind the matchup. The biggest risk is that Sorsby does a good chunk of running too. And the pass catchers, Cyrus Allen probably has the safest floor, followed by Goody. But really, any one of these guys could have a spike game. Wouldn't surprise me if Jeff Caldwell found the end zone twice. Wouldn't surprise me if Joe Royer found the end. Like any which way, these pass catchers could get there. And like I said, I don't think you need to stack a pass catcher with Sorsby. Josh Hoover, his price continues to go down. It's another new low for him this year. But a high team total against a defense that hasn't been super great, I think you can consider him at 6,600 here. Running backs against Cincy are fine too if we can get some clarity. We know there's no Kavorian Barnes, but Trent Battle was active last week, only played 1 snap. I don't know what his status is going to be. I don't believe he's on the injury report, but we'll have to keep a close eye on that. Even if he's not on the report, we could get a situation that it's just Payne carrying the load and then John Denman spelling him. And I don't know if it's something we'll get clarity on. I would love Jeremy Payne in this matchup if we knew, but we'll have to figure that out. And then the pass catchers, if Eric McAllister's on the slate, you consider him, especially in this matchup. Dwyer has a good ceiling too. Joseph Manjack seems to have resumed his full role in this wide receiver core. Now, it was a revenge game against Houston, so that might have been why they peppered him. But he's solid value if you land in this spot for wide receiver, and Ed Small is still out, so that slot spot is Manjack's. And at 4,200 with the opportunity he's going to have, I don't mind that at all. Another game to game stack. It's going to be competitive, could be high scoring, and the prices are fair on everybody. Oregon at Washington. Big Ten championship implications. Oregon needs to win to have a shot. And Dante Moore, price is back down where I think you can at least give him a look, 6,800. I don't know how likely it is that you get 30 out of him in this matchup, but I don't think we're going to get 8 like we saw against Iowa. Now, one of those two things is probably going to happen just because it's a reverse mush. I'll speak it into existence. The running back room. I don't hate these guys, but Noah Whittington and Jordan Davison, they're going to split. One of them could end up with 2 touchdowns and the other one with 1. We saw it happen. I watched it happen against the Gophers. But they're also priced like they're both going to split and get a lot of the volume. And I do think you can still consider it, though, especially with Oregon projected to score almost 30 points. Pass catchers, a little bit different story for Oregon. There are rumors that Decorian Moore's injury is more significant than the outside world is made to believe. So, well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up on the injury report. Again, is out. Wouldn't be surprised if he's out for the rest of the season. Wouldn't be surprised if he started this game. Rumors are rumors until they're not. But if the same guys are out, I do like Kenyon Sadiq, Jamari Johnson. Sadiq's probably my favorite. They ran a lot of 12 personnel without 2 of their top pass catchers last game. And if they're going to do that again, Sadiq and Johnson are going to be on the field. Benson and McClellan both obviously have upside if they're going to see the field a little bit more too. On the Washington side, it sounds like Washington's healthy. I'm sure they'd love to play spoiler in this Pac-12 rivalry. Damon Williams, 7,500 is a glaring price. I know it's a tough matchup, but you know who else is a tough matchup for defenses? Damon Williams. I think he can certainly get there at 7,500. Jonah Coleman played limited snaps against UCLA, but is expected to be full go here. And, he still scored a touchdown on just 4 carries because that's what he does. Adam Muhammad looked really good too, when Coleman wasn't on the field. So I don't think you go to Muhammad in this one, at least strategy-wise, just if Coleman's going to be 100%. But in the event that it does turn into more of a split, maybe you can consider it. But I'm really only looking at Coleman in the running back room. Denzel Boston, also expected to be full go and would likely be Williams' primary target. His price is fine, but we've also seen Desmond Sears Roebuck come along pretty strong without Boston on the field. And they're kind of priced in a spot where they're just enough that I don't really feel comfortable with both of them playing. Now, Boston is capable of a ceiling at 6,800 for sure. I think his ceiling is probably more likely than Roebuck's, but again, this is probably one of those really good overall football games that I just don't know how much I'm going to get to for DFS purposes. Penn State at Rutgers. Whoever wins this game is bowl eligible, if I'm not mistaken. A very interesting spot for Ethan Grunkemeyer because is he a good quarterback? Probably. But what we do know is that he's cheap. 5,400 against Rutgers, and Rutgers loves to give up points. The one thing I will say about Grunkemeyer, though, is the last 2 games, Penn State's handled their opponent pretty easily, and they've thrown the ball a combined 25 times in those 2 games. You know why? Because they have stud running backs. I want to stack both of them. This is the expensive split that I was talking about earlier. Could it work? Absolutely. I think if any expensive running back pairing is going to get there on the same team, it'd be this one. I think you go Allen if you can afford it, he's now Penn State's all-time leading rusher. And Singleton, though, is 1 touchdown away from breaking Saquon Barkley's record. So I would be pretty surprised if Penn State doesn't give the ball to him in the red zone at the goal line as much as they need to get him that score. Although Kaytron Allen can also catch him if he scores 6 touchdowns. Something to keep in mind. Which one do they like better? Which one do they want to have the record? Maybe they want them both to be 1-2. Feed both of them. If you do like Grunkemeyer in this matchup, you probably have some love for these pass catchers. Trevor Pena is still the number one guy, and he's cheap enough that you might not even need to look beyond him. But any one of these guys could be it if they do throw the ball. Again, there's that chance that they don't throw the ball at all. On the Rutgers side, Kalik Manis, the Greek gunslinger, is also cheap, and we have seen the Rutgers offense put up some points. Even against Iowa, they put up a ton of points. 21 points, and it's not a ton, but they score one more touchdown than that, and we're talking pretty close to a shootout in this game. So I don't mind Kalik Manis. Not my favorite, not my least favorite. Antoine Raymond is cheap for the usage he's probably going to get. They even fed him against Ohio State, and he ended up getting a touchdown. Wasn't super effective, but who is against Ohio State? So Raymond's not bad at 5'7". And the one reason to like Kalik Manis is because he's got some pretty good pass catchers. KJ Duff and Ian Strong, 2 of the best Rutgers has had, and honestly, maybe 2 of the best in the country. They just play for Rutgers, so they don't get a lot of cred. But watching them play is fun. They're big-bodied, tough matchup, and they can run people over. So I like them as football players. I don't know how much I love them for DFS in these mid to upper 5Ks, but if Rutgers is going to have a chance in this game, I think they're going to be a big reason why. Florida State, the final game on the slate at Florida. That I can't think of a rhyme for that one. We're not going to get an availability report for this game because it's a non-conference game. The Noles, they took last week off. Now, I still think they might get up for this rivalry game, but it's at Florida. Florida kind of squashes teams, especially at home. I do think Castellanos is good enough to get there at 7,800. I don't love the matchup, but he's got the rushing upside. Good luck figuring out this backfield. We saw 4 guys, running backs, I should say, carry the ball a total of 22 times in their last game against NC State. So they're all cheap. Maybe you get lucky. I just don't know how much you go there on this slate. And then I think Deuce Robinson is at least worth a look. Micah Danzy could certainly get there. We might get a touchdown from one of these cheap guys, but looking at the slate as a whole, I don't know that you need to get to these Florida State guys. On the Florida side, however, DJ Lagway is too cheap. I mean, probably the reason you don't play Grunkemeyer at 5,400 is because DJ Lagway is starting his game an hour later at 5,400. And I mean, 20 points and you're feeling great. Jaden Baugh is 94 yards away from 1,000, and Florida does not get 1,000-yard rushers very often. So that's probably something they want to get him at least 94 yards. And if that comes with a couple of touchdowns, certainly a ton of upside for 7K here. I think they're just going to feed him. And he was their leading receiver in the last game too. I don't know what you're going to do with these pass catchers. I Googled Florida's last game just to check the box score quick to make sure that was accurate. And they didn't even list the guy who got the second most receiving yards. It was Hayden Hansen, but that's not the point. The point is they're even ashamed of their passing game that they didn't want Google to show it off. That's my theory anyway. But anyway, from this game, I think you're really looking at Lagway and Baugh on the Florida side, maybe Robinson and Danzy on the Florida State side. Otherwise, not. I love late game hammers. I just don't know if I love this one. It'd be nice to see Baugh though. Like he could be, if people aren't going to play him, then I like him even more. But that's it for week 14 and rivalry week with only 11 games. Oh my gosh, we're at 34 minutes. I'm glad I kept it short though. If you're still here, there's a Black Friday deal I'm sitting on that I have a few minutes buffer to end this stream and get over to do that. And it involves mac and cheese. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but if you have, I want it. I think there's limited amount available. So leave some for me. If I do get it, I'll talk to you about it if I do end up getting it. We'll talk about it on the conference championship stream. But that's going to do it for this week. We're going to end it as we do every week with the big guys. Rule number 1, college football is fun. Enjoy building your lineups. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the sweat. Be thankful for the fact that we have college football on our TVs and that we get to play college football DFS. But most of all, do not take a single day for granted. We do not get enough of them, and we never know when our last one's going to be. Like I said, this is it for the college football stream for this week. I will see you in the streets this weekend. Let's go out there and ship one for the big guy.